Konnichiwa and welcome to SimSpeed TV, because tonight for RaceKraft V8 Veterans Championship Season 26 Round 8, we are racing at Suzuka International Racing Circuit in Suzuka, Japan. Not that far from Nagoya, honestly, and what will the weather bring us is the big question for 200 kilometers tonight. I'm David Haynes, back with Brock Cadday here on SimSpeed TV, and we can't wait to get stuck in to RaceKraft V8 Vets from Suzuka. Brock.
Hello everyone, great to be back in the box after a couple of weeks off, and I think we are coming to a very exciting end of this championship with the battle between Wayne Walker and Jordan Ross heating up just nicely as we hear at round 8 of the V8 Veterans Championship Season 26. Here you can see Jordan Ross took out the opening win, Wayne Walker 4 in a row, but Jordan Ross is making a fight back towards the end of the season. I think with that rain looming in the distance, we're up for a pretty exciting 200 kilometers here tonight.
Absolutely. So just 3 races left in this season here at Suzuka, then at Miami and Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It's all F1 venues to bring us home. And every single race will matter, because as we factor in 2 of 2 drop rounds in this 10-race season, Wayne Walker leads the back-to-back-to-back defending champion Jordan Ross by just 11 points. Counting in the drop rounds has launched Sean McNamara back up the championship standings and into that top 3, still within touching distance of our leaders ahead of Scott Gamble and Darren Lobb. Ken Latta, Troy Stonestreet, Justin McLean, Paul Young and David Nash are the top 10 in the points. Sean McNamara has been our biggest mover, jetting up the standings. Brad Doble has just slipped outside of the top 10. As we head here to round 8 of 10, every point is going to matter.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I know those guys are only about 40-something points behind, but that's going to make a difference. But let's zoom in on Japan here. So there you go, Suzuka Circuit, just in between Osaka and Yokohama there. So we'll zoom in and have a bit of a closer look at what is this world-renowned Japanese circuit that a variety of formulas and car types race on, normally not our big banger supercars, I might add, but a variety of different track layouts here. The one we'll be using tonight is the GP layout, which is just laid out here before you right now. So quite a few overtaking opportunities here, albeit mixed in with some really technical work that's going to go on as well. So should we see that rain actually hit, it's going to be really difficult for these guys to hold on to it, particularly through, you look, turn 2 through the turn 8 is really difficult, high concentration and high grip needed stuff to get it done. But then you get on some of the back straights there where you can get in the draft and get some moves done. So I think we're going to be in for a bit of excitement here and some guys pulling some moves to try and move their way further up the championship.
You think I'm going to call turn 7 and turn 8 anything other than Dunlop, and turn 16 and 17 anything other than Casio? You got another thing coming, but this facility's been existent since 1962. The original layout designed by Dutchman John Hugenholtz. It's been modified just a couple of times, often for safety. Degner curve got tightened up a little bit. We got that final chicane to slow us down going through the final corner. Spoon curve's been reprofiled a little bit as well. Key overtaking opportunities. Well, we'll see what those are, but it might be getting a good run off Spoon Curve and down towards 130R. It might be that big braking zone at 16, but the high speed places like turn 1 and the hairpin might be difficult to overtake at. Strategy could be key. Looking at that strategy, to give us a 200-kilometer race, it's going to be 35 laps of Suzuka's Grand Prix circuit. 27 laps is 3/4 distance to be a classified finisher. We're starting with just 50 litres of fuel on board, but an uncapped fuel tank size that is going to give us big, wide, and broad strategy windows is the 3 words I nearly combined into one, and that could be important with a tiny bit of weather on the horizon that could affect when the drivers want to pit. They'll want to have that flexibility in their strategy. They're going to need to add a bunch of fuel. They're going to need to make 2 compulsory pit stops.
And this is actually part of what I've loved with the strategy side of things this season, is that the admins have decided to open that refuel capacity up in most of the rounds we've had so far. They've actually lowered that starting fuel on most races, and they've just opened up the refuel capacity, which is great, because it means these guys really need to think a little bit more strategically about how much they put into the car when. And you know, it's been a couple of rounds for me, but looking at Catalunya when I last commentated, we saw a heap of variety in the fuel going into the cars in that first stop to try and get track position, to try and race it out. That was also a bit wet there too, so that rain coming in will really start to create some interesting dynamics for these guys, and the overarching strategy that will need to come with it really make them think about it. And I will, sorry David, I'll go on to the possible pit stop strategies here as well, because you know me, I love talking about my pit stop strategies. But as always, we've got our early, even and late stops here. As per usual, early stop is going to come as early as you can go. That's lap 2 where the compulsory pit stop window opens. You'll fuel right up to the top there. Then you'll pit by lap 11, and that can get you home for the end of the race. Now, most even and late stops there would pit on lap 11 to fill up a little bit, not all the way, and then they would run that tank down, and then just get a splash and dash to go to the end. Now, while we've got these three sort of ideal stints here, let me tell you, this is just the guide. We're going to see a variety of different versions as we go throughout this race.
Yep, absolutely. Let's take a look to the Zoom wall and see who's going to be joining us on camera tonight from our big field of drivers. Wayne Sanderson up there, Ray Smith, Simon Haynes, John Gallen. Oh, he's probably texting someone. I'm about to be on TV. Plug this link into your smart TV and watch SimSpeed TV. We're available in many places, and you should be watching us. There's Jeff Thomas, he's getting his warm-up in. Travis Hunt, likewise, the angle over the tough stickers and his steering wheel and his shifter. Dan Hall's got the Astro headset on, and he's ready to go. Wayne Walker giving us similar angles to Travis Hunt there. Justin McLean, we're going to see the boots once again. Greg Sharp racing in VR, and Michael Stewart there, giving us the big old map of all the greatest racetracks in the world, which Suzuka simply must be on.
Look, I'd like to think so, and I'm liking seeing some different views here. You know, each week some of the guys decide to change up the camera view that they're using. Dan Hall's got a different one. Michael Stewart's got a different one here as well. So we will, as always, check in with our Zoom wallers throughout the night. We like to touch on each of them as the race goes on and see where they're at, usually in their worst moments where they're trying to focus the absolute most.
Let's check in on our driver of the day from M1 Used Cars. A week ago, it was Christian Smart from 27th to 11th, I think, throughout the race. Many positions gained, and he picked up a good result and was the M1 Used Cars driver of the day last time out. We'll see at the end of 200 kilometers in some challenging conditions of Suzuka who can manage that today. Is it time to look to the grid, perhaps? You bet it is. So, starting on the front row, Jordan Ross, second in the championship, but pole from qualifying and ready for this 200k race. Joining him on the front row will be Troy Stonestreet for WK&P Sim Sports. That's a really solid qualifying from him to be on the front row, splitting Jordan Ross and Wayne Walker, because the championship leader starts from third. There's Michael Stewart. We saw him on the Zoom, and we're going to see him from fourth on the grid. In fifth, Justin McLean, and then Ken Latter will start from sixth. Jeff Thomas qualified seventh. Mark Poynton has qualified eighth. And then the next row of the grid, our top 10, is Dean Logsdale and Scott Mackay.
David Nash coming out of 11th here, and then Chris Burridge out of 12th. Dan Hall in 13th, and Wayne Sanderson in 14th. Dave Arney out of 15th, and Lorne McKee out of 16th. Jason Spriggs out of 17th, and Simon Haynes out of 18th. And rounding out our top 20 here tonight will be Christian Smart, our driver of the day last week, in 19th, and Andrew Rushworth in 20th.
Big field that Suzuka continues. Brad Doble's going to start from 21st. Matt Brunt is going to start out of 22nd. And then it looks like Ray Smith in 23rd and Chad Lewis in 24th. Both of these drivers just a second off our pole sitter, but 20 also positions behind. And then Jamie McKnight has got 25th on the grid. Jim Caparonis has got 26th. Travis Hunt has qualified 27th, quite a distance behind his teammate Jeff Thomas. And then there's Dean Flavel in 28th. Ricky Hyde in 29th and Greg Sharp 30th. Only two other drivers set a qualifying time. That's going to be Tim Mulford in 31st and John Gallen in 32nd, because there is no qualifying time for a couple of other drivers back here. Looks like Darren Lobb for sure is one of the drivers we would have expected that hasn't set qualifying time. Does he appear on this graphic? Yes, he appears as the last driver on this graphic. As we get ready and grid up for 200 kilometers, you've got to notice some clouds have come across the racetrack, and there is a possibility of some rain to come in the mid-stint of this race, Brock. Everyone's starting on slicks, but how will that affect their strategy and when they take their stops?
I think you're going to have two very distinct groups of people here in this race, David, and it's going to be the people who are just going to run as far as they can to the rain. Great graphic there. Thank you, Daniel. Here we see we've got still about 45 minutes-ish until that rain is due to hit. So, you know, we're looking at probably an hour and a half race here tonight. So that means they're going to get to about half race distance. So we're going to get these guys who want to run as late as they can. They might take a gamble on wet tyres early, and guys who will pit early to try and get as much fuel out of the way as possible, get out of the traffic, and then wait for that rain to arrive, if it comes, and then get onto those wet tyres and get an advantage. So really, it's going to come down to a bit of guesswork here for the guys tonight. That's part of the fun. The good thing is we're dry up here in the comms box and we just get to watch it all unfold.
Yes, so nothing on the radar just yet, but the forecast says some is coming, and we trust the accuracy of Japanese weather forecasting for sure. A minute left on the countdown to get this one underway. Jordan Ross is already sitting on the pole position here at Suzuka. It is a staggered grid, so he has an advantage over Troy Stone Street. On that run downhill towards turn one. He will not be having to go round the outside side by side with someone. He's on the gripped up side of the racetrack, and he has about 8 meters of advantage over Troy Stone Street. It means Wayne Walker is directly in line behind him. No doubt we'll have the live points graphic as this race unfolds, because with 3 rounds left of this season for this top split championship in RaceKraft V8 Vets, it is absolutely all on the line, and Suzuka Circuit will pay big points today and decide who leads at this critical point. They're waving the green flag at the end of the grid. They're beginning the starting procedure. 200 kilometers is about to get underway with Jordan Ross on pole position in the blue Ford Mustang. Troy Stone Street behind him in the purple WK&P Sim Sports Camaro, but he gets heaps of wheel spin from second there. Wayne Walker is already through into second place and challenging Jordan Ross for the race lead. Prost and Senna look away. Drama's behind in third and fourth, and Stone Street's gone into the wall for big damage. From a great qualifying position, he's going to go all the way to the back. Jordan Ross holds on to the race lead. Wayne Walker, though, already harrowing him, putting pressure on cold tyres on this race start.
What a shame there for Troy Stone Street. Great qualifying, undone by a lackluster race start, and then seemingly involved in an incident that isn't his fault further back. But we'll focus on the front of the field now. Jordan Ross has gotten the start he needed. Wayne Walker, he had a sniff at an opportunity to take away that top spot, and he's not going to happen. Dave Arney in the wall here as well, leaving multitudes of dirt on the track through this first sector, which is just going to be nightmarish for the leaders to come back through. Looking through the rest of the field here, as we see some ailing cars here. Stone Street here is limping his way back around to try and get that fast repair to keep going in this one, but he has come from second all the way back down the end of the pack. Back to the front of the field here. Wayne Walker is not letting Jordan Ross get away with anything. This is championship stuff. Every position matters, and right now Walker's looking to get the top one.
So a little bit of carnage inside of the top 10, heading down towards turn number 1. Jordan Ross managed to hold on to his lead. Wayne Walker with a great launch, again from that grippy side of the racetrack, and into second place to immediately put some pressure on Jordan Ross. Michael Stewart, decent getaway there. Ken Latta up 2 spots and into 4th. They head out a spoon curve past the support paddock pits and towards 130R. Such a formidable and committed corner, especially for cars like these. Let's see how they're able to negotiate that corner. Jordan Ross has got it all figured out.
Yeah, I think if anyone's able to take that corner nice and smooth, it'll be Jordan Ross. So in the background, a little bit of carnage there with Michael Stewart, Kenneth Latta and McLean. McLean and Latta now side by side coming onto the front straight. There was a heap of tyre smoke there as they came through those last couple of turns, the chicane, and now McLean looking after what has been a strong run of results for him. He's been so fast this season, side by side in the turn 1 here. He's given Latta just enough track room. McLean will go through into 4th position here and chase down Michael Stewart as they come through this really dirty section of track from some of those incidents earlier on. Take care through here, guys. The tyres aren't going to grip up as you want them to. Everyone's being nice and careful. Latta isn't looking like he's quite done with McLean here. He wants that position back, but no, now he's falling back a little bit as Michael Stewart's been black flagged.
He had a slowdown penalty from cutting the chicane. He didn't serve it in time. And now he has a drive-through penalty. The driver in 3rd place, Jordan Ross and Wayne Walker, are skipping away. Justin McLean in his battle with Ken Latta there. And now McLean jumping down the inside of the first Degner and into 3rd place. This is all coming undone for Michael Stewart. Justin McLean going ahead, causing it all a little bit of a bottleneck here as they head towards the hairpin. Oh, side by side for the lead. Now. Exiting the hairpin.
Side by side.
Wayne Walker has a great opportunity here, but he's getting squeezed out by Jordan Ross, who gives him no space through the flat-out sweeping section to try to head towards Spoon. Jordan Ross covering the inside there, but Wayne Walker's making him defend once, making him defend twice.
You know what? Previously, we have seen Jordan Ross has had the early race pace and Wayne Walker takes a while to warm up. This is the opposite. This is not what we expect. Walker has got heaps of pace underneath him at the moment, and Ross is the one struggling to get it going again, get his car and his mind warmed up to the race. Walker wants to take advantage of this early, and Ross is not having any of it. He literally gave him just enough room there to not push him off the track. So watch here down in the turn 1 and turn 2. Walker's going to have to get the run of all runs off here to try and make something work with Ross. On board with Walker at the moment as we go down the front straight here to complete lap 2. Compulsory pit stop window is open for those who want to come and do a pit stop. We will see a few of those peel in potentially, but on board with Walker here in the turn 1, definitely not close enough here. He will stay behind at the moment and we'll just wait and see if he can catch up again, but certainly no holds bar racing out there.
So Stewart with the drive-through penalty for cutting the chicane and not giving up the time, and Mark Poynton with the drive-through for what I think might have been contact on the way in towards turn number 1. We'll see how that goes for them. Anyone else electing to pit? Well, Troy Stonestreet with the damage that he had to, but no one else is pitting here at the beginning of the compulsory pit stop window. First and second have a 3-second gap over Justin McLean in 3rd. Ken Latta's gotten through into 4th. And that battle from 4th to complete the top 10 was looking very, very close as well. Bit of a slide coming out of the second Degner from Jordan Ross, and he's struggling with traction. Often considered a sort of low grip type of tarmac here in Japan because of the volcanic rocks that they use as aggregate in their bitumen.
That is one of the funnest facts that you have ever offered, David. I will give you that much there, and I think we're going to go to a replay here of Troy Stonestreet off the race start. So that is unfortunately him in the wall there. So watch his start here. Now he got a very bad one, David. You pegged that as soon as it happened, and look at the field going around him. He's lost many positions there, very slow, and someone's going to go around the outside there.
So Poynton uses part of the width of the track of the pit exit to try to go to the inside of him, but that immediately closes up, and there was never quite the pavement to go to the right-hand side of Stone Street, and the two made contact. Race Control have given a drive-through penalty to Poynton for that one, and then, there's a little bit more there with one of the M1 racing teams, and you see what I mean? You get this extra space there, but, he's on 2 wheels on the grass there.
Yeah, exactly. And Stone Street stuck right to where the white line would be there, and Poynton, unfortunately, that's a result. That move has resulted in Stone Street's race really taking a dive, unfortunately, and that's meant, yeah, as you said, he's gotten that black flag. So we are flashing back to live now and watching Jordan Ross and Wayne Walker. So Walker's just put in the fastest lap of the race as they come through turn 3 and here at the moment, but still not able to make any inroads in a pass on Jordan Ross. And this is where you've got to ask the question with that rain coming, and how do you play this strategy here? Do you try and make a pass? Do you save a bit of fuel and that sort of thing? As in the background here, we've just seen Lord McKee has copped a black flag. I'm not sure what that's for, but that is a race control black flag that he has been given.
Yeah, he's made 6 positions so far in this race, and he's inside of the top 10 there, so he will have been battling with many of those other drivers down at 12th, as we pointed it out, and behind him, Chad Lewis and Jamie McKnight charging through the field. What about challenging for the lead here? That's Jordan Ross getting defensive again with a very narrow run into the hairpin and a narrow exit. He doesn't care about the speed, he just cares about trying to block out Wayne Walker's opportunities. Also note Darren Lobb, the only driver with no qualifying time, will have started from the back of the grid. He's plus 16 positions into the top half of the field. Bonus has got big damage. Is that going to be a wall or a downshift into the second deck? It's lunge to the motor.
I'm thinking a downshift. He's got a bit of damage to the front of the car there, but to have the motor smoking like that, that's usually a downshift that's going to do that damage for you. Looking at Dan Hall now, racing down the back straight here up to 130R with David Nash behind and Lorne McKean behind them. Expect Lorne to drop in there, but Nash is trying to have a look down the inside of Hall here. Not going to happen there. Brave in a supercar to even take a look through that corner. You need all the grip you can get and then some, but they will go line astern at the moment. But Dan Hall is already up 5 positions from 13th in 8th now, and showing a bit of early pace, holding his position and managing to keep inside that top 10. So doing well at the moment is Dan Hall.
No shortage of chaos in these opening laps from Suzuka, within the critical lap number to fuel and get to the end. But the only drivers that have been through the lane have either been damaged or had drive-through penalties. Travis Hunt comes in now to maybe buck that trend from deep in the field. Jim Caparonis is going to have to come in to get his car repaired, and Ron McKee will eventually have to serve that drive-through. Here's Ken Latta in 4th. Dean Logsdale just behind him, and then Jeff Thomas and Scott Mackay. You know, from the anti-banked right-hand corner into the long left-hander at Dunlop. All about then setting your car up for a really quick flick into the first Degner here. Catches out even the best. By the best, I mean Jack Doohan.
Oh, I don't think we want to make Jack Doohan, if he's watching tonight, relive that moment for himself. Coming into the hairpin here on board with Jeff Thomas, who is in a pretty good spot here. Now, normally we'd see Travis Hunt and Jeff Thomas together, and Jeff has qualified quite well, and Travis has qualified not quite as well. So Jeff is doing really well up here at the moment in the top 10, 6th position at the moment. A little bit bothered by the likes of Scott Mackay behind, but chasing Dean Logsdale up ahead and trying to get a top 5 for a really strong late season result at the moment. Nothing going for a move here, but certainly well and truly in touch with the likes of Logsdale and Latta up ahead of him. We'll see what he can do down the back straight here. Obviously a really draft on offer as you're coming through 130R. Don't think he's going to be able to get close enough to do anything here. Adjust the glasses as we're on board on the zoom wall there with him too on his zoom camera. Won't do too much there, but just looking cool, calm, collected, and I reckon expect to see a little bit more out of Jeff Thomas this race. He's been probably one of our more consistent guys this season.
Got to watch to keep an eye on what's happening between Latta and Logsdale, and then see where you fit into that. And there's also perhaps a little worry about Scott Mackay behind, down here with David Nash closing up. Here's Christian Smart. He's got Lorne McKee in front, who still hasn't served that drive-through penalty. Jamie McKnight's got issues on the way into the Casio chicane. He's facing backwards. So has he got a little bit of a tap from behind in the braking zone to help send him around? Or, as sometimes happens, you can touch the grass on the outside of that curved braking zone.
Find out here. Oh, there's contact there into the wall. Okay, so Jason Spriggs, so McKnight. Well, it's a bit hard to unpack there, with it, you know, but it looks like Spriggs and McKnight have made contact. We're going to go on board with Spriggs here. We think there's a little bit more So Spriggs is around the outside, and it just looks like the two have almost come together as they've moved on their racing lines. McKnight's drifted out, Spriggs has drifted in a little bit, and they've come together. So race control can unpack that one, I reckon, but definitely a little bit more than meets the eye there.
Like I said, slightly curved braking zone, and I think that's contributed to the two of them coming together as they both point towards the same point in the braking zone. 16th here. Well, Darren Lobbs fought his way through the 15th now, so he's up front of this. She's got Dean Flavel ahead of Greg Sharp, Andrew Rushworth, and Simon Haynes. Deeply embarrassing to mess up.
I wasn't going to say anything, but no. Good battle going on here, and on board with another one of our Zoom ballers in Greg Sharp with his VR set up as well. So, Flavel up ahead, getting a little bit loose there onto the straight. So does Greg Sharp sniff a bit of an opportunity here to make something happen? I don't think so. I think Flavel's got enough of a run. He has indeed, but Sharp just... If I'm him, I'm recognising a couple of these mistakes from Flavel and seeing, is there an opportunity?
Leader's got to slow down.
Jordan Ross. Side for the leaders.
Yes, Jordan Ross has got to slow down, so Wayne Walker is going to go past him down the front straight, and Wayne Walker, the championship leader, will pass the pole sitter and take the lead of this race.
You know what? That's why Walker's been sticking that close to him for this long, David, is that he knew if a mistake popped up, if something happened, Walker would be there, and that's exactly what's happened here. So, excuse me, he's taken the lead now. As in the background, we see Spriggs has been given a black flag, presumably for that penalty with McKnight, but
I've got feelings about that one, but not for the first time on some of this. So, where can you get a slowdown penalty in the final sector? Jordan Ross, that looks fine through 130R, but I'm pretty sure sometimes they're cutting the apex here at Casio, or they're missing the braking zone entirely, straight lining it. Oof, no wonder that was a hefty slowdown penalty that he had to serve. Wayne Walker comes through and leads this race. How long has Lorne McKee in 10th got to serve that black flag, by the way?
It feels like we're on the very verge of that being servable before you get a far more severe penalty in a DQ. So, be interesting to see long laps around here, long laps. So we're looking at Lorne McKee now, still showing that they need to come in. But
after the timing line as well, so he'll cross the start-finish line before he gets to his pit stall for whatever that may be worth.
So this will be his third complete lap.
Another slowdown for Ross. He must be having problems breaking into the chicane. No, has he picked that up at 130R? I think Jordan Ross, previous races, we've seen him encounter some technical problems, unfortunately, in this season already. Uncharacteristic mistakes. Uncharacteristic mistakes coming from Jordan Ross right now.
No, I completely agree. Ross, this is going to be a wider... the inside there. He's gone in way too early at 130R there, and I reckon that's where he's picked it up. Yeah, I agree with you there, David. We've definitely seen Jordan have a few technical issues earlier in this season. Motorsport comes to mind, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, where he ended up in the wall due to issues, but unfortunately that has meant he's way behind Walker and is letting the likes of McLean come back up to him. But Flash Lorne McKee still flying around here at the moment, showing a penalty. So he needs to come in this lap and serve that penalty, and he's got the likes of Christian Smart right up behind him wanting to make something work here. Smart trying to back up his driver of the day performance last week as well, but I don't see an alternative to coming in this lap to serve that penalty.
No, but with the field spread and with other drivers pitting, there is rationale to waiting for it. It's gone in a bit hot to the second. Degner found the painted concrete and AstroTurf on the outside. Doesn't provide much traction at all. And into the hairpin where the fans pack in and get a really, really great view. There is the field spread. All of Suzuka International Racing Course being used. Formerly just officially called Suzuka Circuit. Gone and added a couple more words into that one.
Yeah, that's it. Smart. Well, being smart here. No pun intended there on Christian's name, but he's not doing anything silly here. We're going to flash back to Chad Lewis, Matt Brunt, and Jason Spriggs behind here. Now, Spriggs as well, I believe, has a penalty that he needs to serve to. So expect him in shortly because he was involved in that incident with Jamie McKnight, and Race Control has let them point down on that one here. But Chad Lewis at the front of this battle pack, probably the one to keep an eye on out of all these four drivers, is Darren Lobb actually backed that up 19 at the moment.
Got two drivers with penalties in front of him, and then you can see two other drivers he can pass for position. You can absolutely smell a top 10 as Lord McKee comes in to serve his penalty. Jason Spriggs is looking like he might do the same as well. So now, bing bang boom, Darren Lobb is into 11th place as Rushworth and Matt Brunt pit.
And this is it, is Darren Lobb. This is the guy we don't expect to see qualifying, or not qualifying at all. Apologies. He was 33rd, not qualifying. This is the guy we routinely see in our top 10, if not top 5. You know, he's a fast driver, and he's showing that to us here tonight. And if I was Chad Lewis, I'd be watching my mirrors a little bit, because I reckon Darren Lobb's looking for that top 10, as you suggested, David.
Yeah.
And
is Lorne's penalty different to Jason Spriggs? Spriggs has served a drive through 18 seconds. McKee has stopped, and presumably it holds him extra time. I thought the best strategy would have been serve the drive-through and then pit, not take service with a black flag hanging over your head.
Yeah, interesting.
The car was being serviced.
Both of them showed the same penalty for race control, which was being black flagged. So there's something that has gone on there as Lord McKee comes out of the pits, and David, as you mentioned, he was being serviced as well. So something odd going on there. Not quite exactly sure. We'll flash back to the racing now. On the track, this is Dean Logsdale leading a fairly active pack of 5 cars with the likes of Thomas Mackay, Hall and Nash behind. And Jeff Thomas just continuing to play himself into this conversation a little bit, looking very racy behind the likes of Logsdale at the moment, potentially even trying to sneak up a little bit further into that top 5.
Still nothing on the weather radar, so I think you've got to think that your pit strategy is driven by the fuel and the tyre performance. Dean Logsdale comes in, Jeff Thomas stays out, so does everyone else. So I'd take my first stop as if it was a dry race, and then save my second stop for whatever the weather does. If I can imagine. So what does that say? Maybe like still 30 minutes to a bit of rain. This pace that we're doing, that would still be 15 laps. That'd take us to about lap 25 before we'd expect some rain to begin. So I think you just you worry about that when it's time to worry about your second stop. There's still 2 compulsory pit stops, no matter what the rain does, and no matter how effective Brock Caday's rain dance is.
Let me tell you, David, I'm doing it in the background here. I'm trying to make it happen, but it seems that the Mother Nature isn't listening, not making it happen. But that's okay. I think these guys are pretty much ready to do their first stop whenever the fuel dictates it, and then that second stop, as you mentioned, will just come when the rain comes. If it comes, remember, this is a forecast. It's not guaranteed, and I can tell you from experience.
As a Melburnian?
As a Melburnian, but from iRacing experience as well, the forecast isn't always correct. So these guys will be planning for a bit of rain. I spoke of Lob, just looking at what's on screen at the moment. I spoke of Lob having a go at Chad Lewis. It's taken all of about a lap and a half, and look at him all over Lewis, bullying him a little bit to get him out of the way and try and get through into now 9th. And Lewis has given that one up pretty easily. We know Darren Lobb has that pace there. So that is now plus 24 on his starting for Darren Lobb, and continuing to try and make up positions. But he's got a little bit of a gap there to make up to Christian Smart to see if he can eke his way further up into that top 10. But back to the rain. Let's see if it hits. If it does, I think that second stop is going to be quite interesting for our drivers out there tonight.
Wayne Walker pits from the lead of the race. Jordan Ross follows him in. This is about what we expected on the fuel range, that starting 50 litres. There's only a few drivers that have been able to save enough to carry on. Jeff Thomas and Dan Hall, by the looks of things. Scott Mackay, David Nash and Christian Smart are all coming in as well. So it's 80% of the field right now. Just a few continuing on to one more lap. They're going to get some fuel in. They are going to get 4 brand new tyres. Ken Latter, leading driver to have made a stop coming around. He's going to hope that he found the right part of the track to get an undercut on a few of these drivers. Jeff Thomas is going to get to lead a lap of the race, but the race off pit lane has Wayne Walker only just ahead of Justin McLean, 6-second difference in how much fuel they have taken.
Very interesting there. As we talked about, definitely different strategies coming to effect here. With that 100% capacity, definitely going to see a few different strategies there. McLean reckons he's got a bit of pace there, so he has tried to jump Jordan Ross there, get out ahead, and we'll see what he is able to do. But now we're looking at Ken Latter and Dean Logsdale here. So Latter's got a little bit more fuel, only a couple of seconds there, but he's ahead, and he's actually managed to jump Dean Logsdale in all of that as well with a longer pit lane transit. So I'm not quite sure what's gone on there, but Latter has ended up being the beneficiary of that.
Yeah, we know Ken Latter can be really, really quick. Track temperature still holding at 28 degrees Celsius with the sun coming and going, but it is super breezy from the west, and that will bring the change of weather, whatever it is that we get. So this is actually a little bit hot for a V8 Vets track temperature as well, so tyre wear might be a tiny bit on the high side. This track, despite being low grip, can be a tiny bit abrasive. It's still grippier than the grass back there for Dean Logsdale. Tim Mulford ahead of Brad Doble. Doble started pretty deep in the field, but so did Tim Mulford. This is 2 drivers on the charge. Mulford plus 22 spots, Brad Doble plus 11. Drive-through served from Mulford though, so he actually hasn't made his regular stop yet, and Doble has. Doble will have way more tyre grip right here, and Mulford will go back to a little closer to where he qualified. Jeff Thomas and Dan Hall are stopping. That means we've had the first compulsory pit stop from everyone once Mulford also comes around.
Yeah, so here we go. Here, just watching, as you mentioned earlier, Doble superior tyre, Mulford knowing what's up, he will let Doble pass there, and they will play on at the moment. Like to see Mulford come in. There he is, straight into the pit lane there, so that will cleanse our field here. So what that really leads us to is Wayne Walker just over a second ahead of the likes of McLean, and excuse me, we have Ken Latter and Dean Logsdale battling it out side by side through turn 3. This is brave, little bit of contact there. Logsdale's going to keep that one, but Ken reckons he's got a bit of pace on Logsdale, and he's not willing to wait around for him.
Yeah, super challenging through that sequence of corners as they battle Logsdale versus Latter, and Logsdale's been gaining positions over this race from 9th on the grid, now up into 4th as he battled with Ken Latter. In the Degners, certainly way more confidence, carrying speed in there, leaping over the curb, and then second Degner, it's about getting the car well placed for traction. Latter going a tiny bit wide, not finding that traction he was after. And then Jeff Thomas on his outlap with a new set of tyres back there in 6th. Notice a really long stop from a couple of drivers like Dan Hall and Scott Mackay. I wonder if they've taken a lot of fuel because they think they might need to run long in this middle stint to make a late second stop if the rain is a little bit delayed, if it takes a bit longer to get here and you're thinking it might be with 5 laps to go that you put on a set of wet tyres rather than with 10 or 15 laps to go.
Well, I think that's kind of what we're seeing here is that rain isn't coming as early as we would, and it's not a super high percentage either. We have just flashed to Dean Flavel, who has a bit of a following behind him here, really. With Brunt, Gallen, Mackay, Haynes, Sanderson, and I think we got, who else we got at the back of that one? We've got, frankly, we've got a line of cars here. There we go. Haynes, Sanderson, and point, and excuse me. So 7 cars in a line, and Flavel is the head of that line. He is the conga line leader at the moment, and trying to keep this angry pack of supercars behind him. The question is, can he, or what pace do these guys behind him have?
The thing about a conga line is when you're in the middle, you can't leave the conga line. You just become the leader of a rival conga line. John Gallen is in that position here in 15th place. Got all the toys behind him and a spare pair of shoes. So he's living the life, and he's got a really good bite and turn into the second part of the opening sequence of corners. So I think he's got a bit more pace than some of these drivers in front of him, but track position can be king here at Suzuka. You go through the S's, you cop a bit of dirty air, there's no big braking zone to make a move. There's not really a big braking zone down at turn 1 or in a 130R either. So when you are quicker, you can get still held up behind.
No, absolutely, David. I think that's a really great observation. And even where John is looking for...
What about track position or the conga line stuff?
Yeah, exactly. It is here that in these cars in particular where that grip is lacking, where you can't quite make a move, it's very difficult. So he has got to try and keep himself in that group and not lose time. But now, we're looking at Rushworth then with Dan Hall behind. They'll go side by side here. Rushworth will probably get the better run as he has through there with that eye line. Dan Hall's going to try and stick it around the outside here. I reckon he's going to stay in this. On board with Dan Hall on the Zoom wall as well. He will absolutely stay in this through Spoon and will get this position and go into 10th now. So he snatched 10 off Rushworth. Rushworth went a little bit wide, and Dan Hall has taken the inside and made that work, really forced where he wanted to be. So good run here, up 3 for Dan Hall, takes well deserved, and will carry on now to see where he can end up in this race.
Did love seeing Andrew Rushworth's nose just appear in the right-hand monitor over Dan Hall's shoulder as they battled, and Hall's got a couple of laps fresher tyres. He stopped quite late, put a lot of fuel in, so then to be still inside of the top 10 with a broader strategy window and some better availability as to when he could stop in the back half of this race, it's actually starting to look very good and promising for Dan Hall. Still looking like a ferocious battle back here with Flavel ahead of Brunt. Brunt with a toe towards turn 1. Can't make a move there. John Gallen still sitting in behind ahead of Scott Mackay, Simon Haynes, Wayne Sanderson and Mark Poynton. It's status quo here. Wayne Walker setting the fastest lap of the race not all that long ago, so he continues to lead by 1.8 seconds over McLean. He has a fuel advantage over, and then has 4.8 seconds to his main championship rival of Jordan Ross, sitting 3rd at the moment. What I do like about this sequence of corners though is when you are in the line, you can take, really open up one of the corners, try to switch back underneath someone else. There's a handful of different lines that can be taken through the early part of the S's and then the anti-banked corner and Dunlop here, where it looks like Darren Lobb has straightened the car up. Got a good run, but can you pass on the way into Deckman?
No, and I reckon he would have wanted to there, but you're very right. Look, if you can keep it tight during that first section though, the windy up the hill section there, Suzuka, you put a lot of pressure on your opponent there, into the hairpin there. Lobb just peels out on sharp. Great move done there, and he's going to keep on going. So yeah, really well managed there by Lobb. I think he's got a little bit more fuel than some of the guys around him. So he's dropped back a bit, but he's clearly got pace. He's got a bit more fuel on board, so I expect to see him a little bit further up before this one is out. Plus 11 now, but we were seeing him plus 20 or even more before that one stops. So he definitely has pace. He's got a bit of fuel on board. He will be absolutely trying to charge his way forward, and that just showed it there with that really strong movement with the hairpin.
A 59% chance of precipitation in 15 minutes. Keep an eye on the radar, but out the window and the eyeball test, it still looks incredibly raceable. Got mostly cloudy conditions with the sun still reaching the racetrack, and everything looks great right now. You just got to believe that strong westerly wind might bring some changing conditions in the next 15 to 30 minutes. And everyone still needs to make it to close to the pit stop. Looking at the group here where there's not been a whole lot of change, except to say I think they've started catching Travis Hunt a little bit again. And at the back, Poynton has had a go at Sanderson, who's just dropped a couple of car lengths behind Simon Haynes.
Yeah, so Poynton trying to make up some positions in this one. Travis Hunt up 15 on where he started, so he had a decent fuel stop, probably on the mid-side to most others, but on board with him now there. He's actually in a pretty good position at the moment and looking to make up some more, up 15 on where he is, but he's got this nice little battle pack behind him and he's just created a bit of distance, so he's actually kind of safe at the moment. Flavel is still the guy in the millionaire hot seat tonight with that battle pack sitting behind him, and you can just see this snake of cars flowing behind. Hunt has made a mistake now. That's given Flavel a bit of an opportunity, a bit of a sniff. Not going to happen, but now, as I said, Flavel's the head of the snake. Travis Hunt is now the head of the snake here as they flow all the way through to Spoon.
Might have had a bit of a lock-up on the way in, and then you could see he had to go hand over hand with the steering lock, and it pushed him up a little bit wide, perhaps into a dirty part of the racetrack that was beginning to form. Second part of Spoon, a bit of counter steer. Doesn't it take much steering angle there once you get on the throttle. But in slow corners, it takes a lot. This is a big group of V8s heading down towards 130R. We'll be looking at 20 laps to go. And at the sort of top of the hour, every 15 minutes, double checking that weather forecast. We're about to get a weather update in 1 minute. When you look west, some of those clouds are beginning to look nasty. Sun's disappeared from when I said it just a couple of minutes ago, a lap ago. What could be in store in the back half?
I feel this could be almost a bit of commentator's curse here, David. Just saying how it's looking good, the sun's still hitting the track, and I agree, from that onboard we saw some grey and nasty looking clouds in the background, so we could still be in for a bit of this rain, even if it's just a bit of precipitation. We'll keep this interesting and test these drivers out here tonight, but for now, it's dry. They're taking as much curb and dirt as they can as they come through here. This first sector, they are using all the track and then some to try and maintain pace and get the advantage on each other. Chad Lewis under pressure here by Ray Smith as well as they come around to line up here now for the Degners. Nothing quite going to happen through here. Both guys up a little bit on where they started, but Ray Smith looking like he's got a bit of pace to burn.
Big news in the weather update department. The 9:15 chance of rain has gone from 59 to 58%. So pack your umbrellas away, but Scott Mackay's gone wide through the hairpin. There's a bit of change going on just in front here. Mackay's gone wide. Oh, he's now battling again with Simon Haynes. I think John Gallen managed to stay ahead. So the only person that's taken advantage of Scott Mackay's mistake is Simon Haynes, but only for a moment as he then drops back behind again on the exit.
Yeah, lucky there for Mackay, but I say lucky, but he is still under immense pressure here coming down the back straight and into 130R. So, see, nothing's going to happen through here, but really in these supercars, what we're going to set up is 130R, the final chicane, and then onto the main straight, and then you might finally have an opportunity to pass someone. You just can't quite get it done with that lack of downforce and lack of grip here. So we're on board with Simon Haynes, another one of our Zoom Wall attendees. I love checking with them. He is working hard at the moment here onto the main straight. Mackay has a little bit of a slip there. Not quite enough though. Haynes is probably a bit too far away to make anything work down to turn 1 and 2 here, but certainly within striking distance to grab another couple of positions. Already up one on where he started, and I'm guessing wanting to try and just sneak into that top 15 for the night.
Doesn't look like one of my cousins. Looks like he could be one of Richard Crail's cousins, though. He's right in the thick of the battle here, and he just couldn't quite get that spot away from Mackay when Mackay made that mistake. And this group from Hunt through to Poynton, it's all just going to be about figuring it out at the second pit stop, and when they make that stop, Mackay with heaps more fuel on board. Simon Haynes still though with more than Wayne Sanderson or a tiny bit more than Dean Flavel, so he could still jump a couple of spots when the second pit stop comes around, but he's not making them on track easily at the moment.
No, and that's part of the hard part of this track is that it's not an easy track to pass at. You need to get the run through practically a whole sector to have a run at the hairpin here, into Spoon, if you're brave, into the chicane after 130R, or down to the turn 1 and 2. You know, you talked about it earlier, David, is there are overtaking opportunities, but you've got to get the last sector right to line them up and make it happen. And Simon Haynes here, he's doing a good job, but Mackay's just doing a slightly better job to not lose that time like he did when he made that mistake on the last lap, and it's not giving Simon the opportunities he needs. In saying that, he actually is a little bit closer out of Spoon and into the straight to 130R here at the moment.
Yeah, big braking zones though. See how early they have to brake for Spoon or the hairpin, and 130R that's flat out in some types of race cars requires a little bit of braking here. Down towards Casio chicane. I think that was Chad Lewis running wide off the exit of 130R in the background. He's just ahead of Ray Smith and a charging Darren Lobb. Wayne Walker extends his lead a little bit as Justin McLean, short on fuel in second, begins to be caught by Jordan Ross, who took more at the first stop. That's this here, second and third, with Logsdale and Thomas as our top 5. There's the deltas over the last couple of laps. Jordan Ross, strategic advantage, pace advantage versus Justin McLean, but his real fight this race and this season is with Wayne Walker.
Absolutely, and I think while Roster's fight is with Walker, McLean's fight isn't with the likes of Ross at the moment. You know, like we look at these live championship standings here, even if McLean keeps second from Ross will still, in the race, Ross will still be second in the championship. So I think McLean here, he'll know what's up. He'll know if Jordan wants to take a move, he'll let it happen. But McLean is fighting for a podium to really put himself in a strong position in this championship and put himself well and truly in that top 5. And in fact, in third at the moment, the way things are. So if Ross wants to come through, I think McLean will let it happen. Behind McLean, the fuel numbers are actually pretty similar between Logsdale and Thomas as well, that pit stop number, So he's looking for a podium at the moment without any untoward things going on with rain and safety cars, knock on wood, who knows. But at the moment, the smart thing would be if Jordan Ross has got the pace, let him through if he wants to come through.
Still nothing that I see on the radar, so it's the text forecast that says decent chance of some moderate rain, but we can't see it arriving just yet. This will be Poynton alongside Sanderson heading into 130R, and I think Mark Poynton gets that spot. This train, this snake, just keeps growing. It's like a Nokia 3310, because Chad Lewis, Ray Smith and Darren Lobb have also joined the party, but that's off the road for Mackay. Simon Haynes is going to be alongside him, exiting there. So Mackay had a mistake or had a little bit of help. Brad Doble's come into pit lane for his second stop in front of us, but the rain's not here yet. Wayne Sanderson's in, but the rain's not here yet. Are they thinking this is going to be a 3-stop race?
It's a risk to take, and I think that the gamble they're taking here is that they can get their plug and out of the way, and potentially make it deeper into this race and just grab wets when they need it and just get a tyre stop done effectively. But it's risky when there is still that threat of rain coming on. But we'll see what happens. Sanderson, Doble, 2 names to remember later on in this one. But on track, we're still watching the likes of Mackay at the moment, and the battle pack behind him as well. On board Ray Smith now through the Degners here. A bit of a moment there for Lewis, still made it work. Ray Smith very smartly is strapped into his sim rig. These can be some pretty intense races here, and he will come through to the hairpin now. No move going to happen here, but this is a very tight pack. One small thing goes wrong, it can really make a mistake. Oh, he spun Darren Lobb potentially, hard to see there.
Lobb went to the inside there, and yeah, Smith left him a little bit more room, a little bit of room. But I think Lobbs then had to stomp on the brakes a bit harder. He might have sent it around. Ray Smith leaves in space. Darren Lobb gets in hot. Has to lock up to not drill Mackay there. And Darren Lobb loops himself around. because there was a bit more traffic than just the 1v1. This is second place, Jordan Ross getting down the inside of Justin McLean. Jordan Ross does it. And McLean, I think, followed Brock Caday's advice that he didn't really need to fight that one.
Yeah, look, obviously we know the pace is there for Jordan Ross. I mean, this is, what would you say, the back-to-back. You know, Jordan Ross, he's absolutely got pedigree, not just in V8 Veterans, in V8 Pro, across all of our supercars racing in Australia. And Justin McLean, he's running his own race. If anything, he can learn something from being behind a guy like Jordan Ross, one of our champions of V8 Veterans. So this is smart. This works. Ross can carry on his race, and McLean can learn something, and still is in a good position with the guys behind.
And in this group gain, Scott Mackay keeps it on the road. 38 seconds of fuel in his cars, the most of anyone in this group. And not bad for Matt Brunt either. 33 seconds. He's got drivers in front and behind who only took 27. So he's stuck in this traffic, but it will come towards him in the second pit stop, and he also has more flexibility as we look to the skies and to the forecast. Still nothing visible on the radar.
Yeah, nothing on the radar. It's definitely getting visibly darker, but we're only a handful of minutes away from when we expected to see this rain, which realistically, if you were expecting anything, there you go, we're 7 minutes away. You would have expected to see something on the radar. So I'm curious to see if we will actually get hit, or if it's going to come
another slowdown in second.
Later.
Jordan Ross has picked himself up another slowdown, and it might have been the apex of 130R. This has cost him a couple of times. Justin McLean is going to get that second place back as Ross aims to clear it before they get down towards turn 1. And he still hasn't. Oh, this could be very painful. I think he still got it too. We've seen just in time drive-through penalties come from not clearing slowdown penalties in time. The longer that rain waits, I think the more it benefits everyone that took a lot of fuel at the first stop, like Dan Hall as well.
Oh, absolutely, because those drivers are going to be able to go deeper into this race than the guys who short fuel. So we've started to see a couple more stops now. Flavel and Haynes have come in through the pits now. The likes of Matt Brunt staying out at the moment with that conga line of cars, as we've discussed, still behind him. So we're just starting to see the first of these drivers come in, potentially at the end of their tank, needing to pit with the threat of rain on the horizon. So I think at this point, David, anyone that needs that free stop, probably not in a great position without a safety car, and anyone who's got a bit more fuel on board can drive closer to this rain and take a risk to put wet tyres on if that rain starts to fall, in a better position.
It's a Grand Prix pit lane here. You transit it very quickly. It takes 10 seconds to put a set of tyres on. So I would say, if you've already taken all of your fuel, but you need to make a third stop to be on the correct tyres, that the total loss is probably not much more than 20 seconds. This seems like the kind of track and the kind of conditions where you just got to be on the right tyre at the right time. Don't try to put, wet tyres on too early when the track's not ready for it. Don't try to stay out on slicks if the track gets too wet. If you need to make a third stop to be on the right tyres at the right time, I think you've just got to swallow your pride on that one.
Yeah, and you said it right there, David. Is the tyres at the right time, and that can make all the difference in a race like this. Is actually getting on the right tyre at the right time can make up seconds. So I think these guys are probably at this point almost running it like it's a dry race. As that rain comes, there'll be that level of risk versus how do we go about this? We're seeing actually the track temp is coming down. So look at how cloudy it's got. That sun, that UV and that sun you're talking about, David, is starting to draw the track here. So we're seeing the precursor to some rain, but not the actual rain itself.
Yeah, what a very noticeable drop-off in the track temperature just beginning there. We look to the Justin McLean pedal cam. He's gotten second place back as a few little errors have cost Jordan Ross the track position and time to Wayne Walker. McLean then carefully opening up the throttle, exiting second. Degner need to lift the throttle a little bit on the kink and then trail the braking before really stomping the braking into the hairpin. And then at 55 kilometers an hour, carefully in second gear, beginning to put that right foot down. The laces done up on the Sparko boots.
We love seeing Justin's good cam. I think we've got some great views of people with this work and their setups, and this is actually quite a unique one I've come to enjoy over the last few rounds that Justin offers. Is how does his footwork line up with what he's doing out there on the track, and clearly uses all three pedals there, serious about his pedal work with his songs, so, and he's battling one of the better races we've seen in the V8 veterans in recent times, so loves his heel toe there to 130R in behind him. We go back to looking at the back of McLean's car. Ross taking as much curb as he can through 130R to make up as much pace here. But in all of this, who's this helping the most? Wayne Walker, who's up ahead of these guys. So I'm curious to see if Jordan Ross will do it before the next pit stop, or whether he tries to pit early to get a jump on Justin McLean.
Won't be too long until McLean has to pit. Dean Logsdale pits from 5th, and we're side by side heading towards 130R between John Gallen and Mark Poynton. Around the outside, Poynton has momentum and the right of way. John Gallen rolls out of that one. It's going to cost him momentum though. Scott Mackay and Chad Lewis, two really quick drivers just behind him. We all get single file on the way into this tight chicane, bouncing over the curbs, trying to straighten it up for the drive off the corner. There's a challenge here at Suzuka though, with that final little flick before we get onto the downhill pit straight. Logsdale in the lane, not many other drivers pitting for the second time this lap, but in the next 2 or 3 laps, we'll have to see a little more. 20 seconds away from another weather update, Brock.
20 seconds. Well, I better fill that time to make sure that we can get there. But no, look, it definitely looking a bit darker out there, but I think these guys are working towards a dry race at the moment. If the rain falls, it's going to be, how do we manage this? For those guys who fill up further, we talked about it earlier, they are trying to make it through the rain if it comes. It's not looking like Jim Caparonis has pitted, albeit I will say on the rain, it can just develop randomly across the track. The weather is a bit fickle like that. But these guys are racing all out. They're using the tyres, they're using the fuel. There isn't any fuel saving going on out there, and they're trying to make something happen. So
the chance of rain has fallen out the bottom here. We've gone from 58% to 0% at this minute, and then down into the sort of 20s and 30s through to the finish of the race. There's only 12 laps left, which will be sort of 24, 25 minutes. Within the next 2 forecast windows, it does not go above 28% rain. This looks like it might end up being a dry race to the end at Suzuka. That certainly benefits Wayne Walker, who's leading at the moment. Justin McLean has to come in. Jordan Ross goes back up into the second position as McLean just needs to take the fuel and the tyres to get him to the end. David Nash and Dan Hall are the next highest battle for position, as Jeff Thomas and Ken Latter also come into the lane. And I think a few drivers will stop now, and that they have good reason to believe this will be a dry race now that we've had the updated forecast.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the conditions that we've been seeing, like as much as we were talking about the wet racing, the conditions weren't really conducive to that, right? Like we weren't seeing that move over the cloud, the darkening as much. Like, don't get me wrong, we've got cloud cover, but it certainly isn't as much as what we thought there would be. So these guys can likely expect a dry race at the end, maybe a bit of spit if that forecast stays true, albeit it seems to be reducing. But now that means we've seen a few people come in. Jeff Thomas, Ken Latter, Christian Smart, Ray Smith and Travis Hunt all in the pits. We're focusing on the likes of David Nash and Dan Hall out on track at the moment. Some guys who have come through the pack well tonight, albeit helped by some people who have now pitted. So we'll see where these guys come out. Dan Hall is one to watch. He's one of our guys. David Nash as well, actually. Both took quite a bit of fuel on board at that last stop. So expect to see them cycle out kind of in the middle of some of our top 10. But I think this is where we're going to see in the next couple of laps, the fuel tanks run out, the strategies align, and we'll have a bit of a jumbled top 10, I think.
Yeah, there was a big swing and variation across the first stop. Oh, Tim Mulford is locked wheels with someone. And that is on the way into turn 1. Michael Stewart and Tim Mulford have both been off the road together, presumably locking wheels heading down the pit straight. Wow, I caught the end of that. The dust in the air, but I don't know how those two drivers ended up there.
It's a replay on screen now between the likes of Mulford and Stewart, and I think, is that McKnight? Oh, what has gone on there? That just seemed unneeded there in the middle of the straight. They've got so much track to play out in front of them. They've just moved into each other in the middle of the track there. I mean, that just seems a bit silly at that point.
Wow. I never knew there was that bump out there in the gravel either. Both of them have continued without too much damage, but it's not what they wanted at all. Another round of pit stops coming through. So Poynton, Rushworth, Gallen, Darren Lobb, and Jason Spriggs for the third time is in the lane. Highest running driver to have made 2 stops. Justin McLean gets a couple of spots back now. He's cycled up to 7th and will probably be heading towards 3rd. There's a look at Michael Stewart. He's had some great races in the last 2 or 3 seasons, and he's at one of the greatest racetracks in the world, according to his poster and the red dot on Suzuka circuit. The Japanese tracks featuring are Fuji and that's Tsukuba. This little and itty bitty near it. You've also got Sochi. Is that Autopolis? Motegi? There's a couple of Japanese tracks. It's even got Circuit Guia from Macau. Shanghai. Simmons Plains is on there?
That's it.
No, that's Circus Paradise. That's all Circus Paradise. Thank goodness. Robert Simmons Plains is on there. Wayne Walker pits from the lead of the race. There's 10 laps to go, and with no rain on the forecast, Walker and Ross, our 2 championship protagonists, are both in the lane, expecting a similar pit stop time with Walker to be able to resume in a really strong position compared to the rest of the field.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is where we've seen the season go, right? Like, the likes of Ross and Walker have been our standouts, and that they will continue to be. But look, this is where we're looking at right now. So, Mackay and McLean has come out of the pits, and he's already done his pit cycle here. So, what we're really looking at here is McLean coming out and his position relative to the likes of Walker and Ross. And just noting that Walker dropped way before Jordan Ross, and I think Ross will definitely pip the likes of McLean here. McLean looking down the inside of Mackay, gonna make it work into turn 1. I say that a bit too early. He will into turn 2 there. So McLean is in effective 3rd here, not too far behind Jordan Ross. But out of all of that, Wayne Walker has managed to extend his lead out the front even further.
Yeah, through that last stint, we did see Ross pick up a little bit of slowdowns, go back and forth with Justin McLean. It wasn't the perfect stint for Jordan Ross, and you're right that he has then come out of the lane about another second further behind Jordan Ross. The total gap's at about 7 seconds, when I think it was 5 or 6 before that pit stop phase began. Dan Hall, we said he loaded up the fuel tank. He's run on long here and takes a lap in the lead of the race, just a little bit ahead of Wayne Walker. But I'd say it's his moment in the sun, but he's not going to get any in the back half of this race. The clouds are getting thicker, but steadfastly refusing to drop any precipitation on Suzuka circuit.
It'd be about right that when this race ends and we see the winners go across the line and they start doing some burnouts, and that's when it would start raining. I think you're very right. These clouds are getting thicker. That sun is lowering, but at the moment, no rain will fall. So Dan Hall, he will continue on here. I think in a good position to come through into the top 10. He's gone a little bit wide there and just about run off the circuit, but he's kept it on. And we'll see if he peels in this time round. Big old drift there. No, he's going to keep going around despite the fact he is Tokyo drifting out of the last turn, with Wayne Walker bearing down on him at the moment.
I'd think about getting rid of those tyres, get a new set of slicks with no rain coming, but Dan Hall will carry on. Wayne Walker closing him almost 2 seconds on this lap, and the gap keeps going. A few other drivers will make their final stops, like Chris Burridge comes in. Looking at about 2/3 of the field that have made their final stop. For Wayne Walker, he's got heaps of time in his pocket, so he doesn't need to be worried too much about catching Dan Hall on the different strategy here. But just through the S's in the first half of the lap, he's caught him by a second. Dan Hall is struggling, and Wayne Walker is the man of the night. He has looked so strong across all phases of the race, except for qualifying, where he could only manage third.
Whoa! Dan Hall having an absolute moment there, and luckily not taking out Wayne Walker, our effective race leader, and just jumping out of the way there, out of the second Degner and into the hairpin and letting Wayne Walker through. That was a moment and a half there. On board with Wayne Walker now, and as we're watching him, so we watch his almost driver's eye view from the rear view camera facing forwards there, so he will continue on through Spoon here on the way down the 130R and resuming the lead of this race.
Darren Lobbs in 17th at the moment, just ahead of Brad Doble and Andrew Rushworth. Up ahead of them, Travis Hunt and Matt Brunt are going to get side by side, headed towards the hairpin. We've got a Brunt around the outside. Travis Hunt with his nose in front there. Brunt tries to switch back under. The traction exiting that hairpin seems to be on the tight line, and then you need to open up these fast sweepers to be able to flow the speed in this over-horse-powered, under-gripped racing car. Travis Hunt in 15th, plus 12 spots on the night. Matt Brunt plus 6, Darren Lobb plus 16. Dan Hall is going to come in for his final stop. Looks like Matt Brunt's got just a little bit more grip here. He's got 2 laps fresher tyres.
Make his way through, but we've talked about it all night. Where do you make that move? Like, where does it happen? It really does come from some setup. Now, Hunt runs a little bit wide there through the first part of that chicane, so that could give Brunt the opportunity he needs in the draft. He's pretty close, but you do really need to be alongside in the turn one, or at least have a really good braking foot on you. Pit exit as well as Mackay, I think, is coming out of the pits here. He will come out alongside Darren Lobb in the background. Lobb file in behind him here, but we'll have the tyres on him to try and make something happen. They'll go side by side now into turn 3. Oh, Darren Lobb around the outside, turn 4. He'll gather Scott Mackay up and make it happen. That was some pretty brave stuff there.
Yeah, well, we know that Darren Lobb can be pretty gutsy. Scott Mackay was on that new set of tyres that, well, brand new, still wouldn't be quite at temperature yet. Darren Lobb's taking advantage of that, going ahead of him for 16th place. Now Scott Mackay continues looking backwards at Andrew Rushworth, approaching Degner's, bouncing over the apex curve at 1 into 2. We've seen how difficult traction's been out of that second Degner, because you just got to get a little bit wide. You're no longer on the pavement, you're on green concrete and plastic AstroTurf.
Yeah, that's it. And you can really feel that difference when you do get out there on that AstroTurf and concrete. Like the grip level is noticeably different in that sense. Troy Stone Street, as a night that goes from bad to worse has just happened for him. He has now been black flagged as well. unfortunately, by race control, so he will have to make a run through the pits.
So we're taking a look. Tries to get his nose underneath exiting the hairpin, but he sends Wayne Sanderson around. Chad Lewis picks up a black flag. I think that might be speeding, entering pit lane for Chad Lewis. So there's problems for him. Ricky Hyde also making his final stop. There's just a couple of drivers with 7 laps to go. They need to make another stop. There's nothing on the radar. I think we are going to be racing on slick tyres all the way to the checkered flag here in split 1 of a RaceKraft V8 Vets. Wayne Walker with a 6-second lead on Jordan Ross. Jordan Ross with about 6 seconds on Justin McLean, but everywhere in the midfield has been off chops here at Suzuka. The strategy is beginning to converge again, and I'll jinx it. All 33 cars that started are running and are on the lead lap.
Well, you might jinx it. I'm knocking on wood on this end just to make sure. A little bit of light coming into the background there as well, so I reckon we avoided that rain. And if we haven't, they might have just to deal with the dry tyres here. But yeah, look, it's been a very clean race out there for the most part. Yes, a few incidents, but no one's ended up, well, not too many people beat ball flag, but it's great to see all of our participants out there still racing. And we've still got some really close little battle packs going on here despite the lack of safety cars. So the pace has really been high tonight. And with some strategy, everyone is still trying to play themselves back into this here. So it really is still to play for, particularly for this mid-pack. You can't quite see how this is going to go. A small mistake can really be the difference between finishing where you are or losing 4 or 5 positions.
It's multiple battle packs on my screen, and all of them are sort of 5 cars, 6 cars. As you look at sort of between 11th and 25th, there's only 13 seconds on track. So it's a bell curve distribution of our races, and right at the peak, in the middle, you could fall from 11th to 30th in a hurry. Conversely, if there's a little something up the road from you, you could pick up 4 or 5 spots in these final stints very easily. Looks like everyone in the whole field has made their 2 compulsory pit stops, some a little extra as well. Troy Stonestreet's going to have to serve a drive-through in a moment. We're right on board with Scott Mackay as he comes onto the front straight.
All the way down here behind Bob. We'll see what he can do. The draft isn't working quite as well as what I would have thought down that big, long downhill straight here at Suzuka, but that's alright. Mackay is looking racy at the moment. We know Lob's got the pace, so I reckon if I'm Scott Mackay, I'm wanting to just see what Darren Lob's going to do. See if he wants to make some positions up here and see if he can follow him through, because Darren Lob is looking fast. We've seen him already a bit further up than where he is at the moment, and you can guarantee he will want to try and work his way as high as he can before the end of this race. And look at Lob's car, it's just handling really well, it's keeping it tighter, it's braking where it wants to and turning where it wants to. He does have pace, but it's just a matter of where can you make a safe move to make these positions up.
Drifts it, exiting the second Degner, but stays close to Matt Brunt. They've got to start braking at sort of the apex of that right-hander there, and then try to bring the car across with some trail braking. Tight line with a little bit of the banking for Darren Lobb. Scott Mackay with his nose right behind him, but Matt Brunt stayed a little bit higher, and sometimes that's the quicker line with the big wide arc. Brunt exited the hairpin with plenty of momentum. Travis Hunt's begun to catch Simon Haynes a tiny bit for 11th, and behind that, Brad Doble ahead of Chris Burridge. Troy Stonestreet in black and purple there's going to have to serve a drive-through. Poynton in 20th, and then John Gallen and Jason Spriggs has already served his drive-through. That was wide from Gallen, exiting Spoon, heading towards 130R. Burridge has a really solid run. He's got to be all the way down the inside of 130R. Think about that. He's just trying to scare Brad Doble. Team's namesake, I don't think Brad Doble's going to be jumping at shadows.
Yeah, look, mind games are a powerful weapon in sim racing, and I don't think Doble is falling for them any day of the week here. Oh, but it looks like he might have got a slowdown here.
Oh, he lit the tyres up.
To the right-hand side.
He lit the tyres up on the exit curb. and Burridge will get him.
Wow, there you go, Burridge. That maybe the mind games did work there for Burridge, because Doble's had a moment, kept it, didn't put it in the wall, so he saved it. So credit to Doble there. As you were saying, David, he had a moment and has lost a bit of control there, but that's meant Burridge has been almost gifted that position and will carry on through.
Like Wayne Sanderson ahead of Ricky Hyde here out of turn 2 towards the S's. Sanderson holds it mid-track and Ricky Hyde's going to look around the outside, find the dust, find the marbles. No speed to be had there, and Wayne Sanderson is absolutely focused. Got gloves on, got the big round wheel, and you need that to be precise through the changes of direction. Weight transfer from one corner into the next, softly rolling the car over from one side to the other. Flagged. Brunt's just been moved out of the way, I think, at the hairpin. Darren Lobb comes through. The two of them have battled on the way into the corner there, and the spot has gone the way of Darren Lobb. The pressure, of course, had been on Matt Brunt for a handful of laps here. Scott Mackay now in behind him.
Yeah, so Lobb clearly giving a bit of the hurry up there, and Matt Brunt's the guy we know has a good bit of pace in this theory, so +8 on his starting position. We definitely know that he belongs in the top 20 on this League 1 of V8 Vets at the moment, but Darren Lobb showing a little bit more pace at the moment, and what that's done is brought Scott Mackay right in behind, and not much to happen here through 130 hour on the chicane. I say that as Mackay shows the nose, and I've been... Why? Scott Mackay! Okay, opportunistic at its best. He'll get a slowdown out of that and lose a bunch of positions while he went for an opportunistic move there. I was right, not much to gain from that, and Mackay unfortunately has found a lot to lose.
Locked up, split the gap, thought he was going to skittle the whole lot of them, but the bowling ball ends up going down the gutter. And for Scott Mackay, that's cost him quite a fair bit of spots, but it could have been oh so much worse as they cross the start-finish line. They begin lap 32, 4 more laps of Suzuka to go. Still not a hint of rain to be found on the radar. Everyone's going to have to race on slick tyres to the end, and the pressure is building on the top 5. Last lap, Ken Latta was 4/10 quicker. He's closed in Jeff Thomas. Now he has a look, a tiny little peek to the inside of the hairpin. There wasn't enough room, and he didn't want to turn Jeff Thomas, but now he's going to keep putting pressure on him. Dan Hall exiting the second Degner. I think he's spun that up into the inside wall. So say the witness marks of the black stripes towards the Armco. Now Travis Hunt's into the Armco. On the way... Oh, where's that? Similar spot.
Yeah, right. Fascinating to have 2 cars do it exact same lap, exact same spot there out of the Degners, but nearly 3 wide there as well coming out of the hairpin. So Travis Hunt
steering's off for Travis there.
Some damage.
Car's turning right as he's got his left hand down. So 2 things for us to look at. The second Degner, and Travis Hunt's clearly got steering damage. Dan Hall's car looks just as bad. I think they can limp these things to the end though. There's no meatball flag. They will have just knocked out at some of their aerodynamic bits, and also I think the steering alignment, at least for Travis Hunt. Looking first to Dan Hall. He was definitely all by himself going into the second Degner. Just gone a tiny bit wide, given it too much juice with the gravel on the concrete. And Travis Hunt had Darren Lobb just behind him. Hunt goes into the first Degner, bounces that curb a little bit. Now into the second Degner. Oh, he does it all by himself. Big tank slapper, but then he gets finished off because Darren Lobb doesn't know which way he's going. But it starts with a big slide and going wide from Travis Hunt.
Yeah, and I feel like Hunt reported that to race control, but it's a hard one for Darren Lobb to manage there. You know, when you've got a car already having a tank slapper like that, where do you go to avoid the incident? And
Lobb knocked him over, but knocked him over with a feather because he was already slipping.
Exactly it, David, exactly it. So I think that's an unfortunate one there for Hunt, and not much more could have done to avoid that small contact that ended up resulting in the contact with the ball there. But now we're looking here at Dan Hall is continuing on here, and in ninth, up 4 in his position, but leading a fairly
Lob!
aggressive pack of cars. Darren Lob has been black flagged now, which is an iRacing
limit.
black flag for incidents. So his whole charge through the field is gone from that, and now will have to come through the pits.
Dan Hall's checked up this pack a little bit. Darren Lob drove straight into the back of Simon Haynes. Now he drives straight into his door at the hairpin. I think he's going to get a little bit of a return serve through the right-hander. Lob ends up wide and in the marbles and might have a bit of damage on his car, as well as the drive-through he's going to have to serve. Greg Sharp's got a Ford Mustang in much better condition than Dan Hall's. Hall looks like he's done the Christopher Mees, except the Kangaroo didn't jump. And surely he's missing some straight line speed, and these guys will eventually get past him. But it's caused all of this, approaching 2 laps to go. Here's Greg Sharp, heaps more straight line speed towards 130R. He's going to sail past Dan Hall. Simon Haynes might have to wait another corner, but it's been very quickly self-penalising for Darren Lobb. He's got a black flag that he'll have to serve before the end of this race, and there's only 2 laps to go. Haynes around the outside of Dan Hall. Dan Hall gets pincer maneuver between him and Darren Lobb. We're 2 wide exiting the Casio chicane. And the traction around the outside will surely get Simon Haynes in front. Darren Lobb hasn't pitted. He can't pit coming towards the checkered flag, so he'll have to pit coming towards the white flag. Now he's bump drafting Simon Haynes towards turn 1 to get them both past Dan Hall. Matt Brunt's going to try to go around the outside as well. Darren Lobb's got his spots. Haynes hanging around the outside of 1, gets sent towards the marbles, and there will be no love lost between Haynes and Lobb as Matt Brunt's alongside.
Yeah, Darren Lobb, for a guy that has got a iRacing incident penalty, he's taking names at the moment. He does not care and trying to work his way as far up in this pack as possible. So, racing very hard. In the background there, Michael Stewart also got a black flag, iRacing black flag, presumably for incidents as well. So, this has been a very intense battle pack to end this one. All sort of the catalyst for it being Dan Hall's damage holding up the pack and everyone kind of getting choked up there, and Darren Lobb getting that iRacing black flag. We're going to have a look here in the replay between Ken Latta and Jeff Thomas.
Ken Latta looking down the inside. Ooh, yeah, makes just a tiny bit of a touch there versus Travis Hunt. Then on the exit, he looks to get to the inside. They make a fair bit of contact. Ken Latta goes through into 5th. Jeff Thomas ends up in 6th. Fought that one. Left about a car width, I should say, but really not a whole lot more. We begin the final lap of the race with Wayne Walker. This group of drivers haven't come around to see the white flag just yet. Darren Lobb is seeing the black flag at the moment, and 17 incidents is how many you need to get a drive-through in this race. It's not a whole lot of too many. Dan Hall's getting past in a straight line again. Here goes Chris Burridge, here goes Mark Poynton, and then his slot in line just ahead.
Yeah,
Rushworth and Mackay. Oh, Rushworth down the inside of him.
Front end damage to Dan Hall is really, really proving a disservice for him at the moment, and everyone is just, it's a fire sale on Dan Hall's race positions. And Darren Lobb goes around again.
Darren Lobb will get not 17 seconds, but more post-race for not serving that black flag. Nonetheless, he gets into 9th position on track, ahead of Greg Sharp, passing him down the front straight. Simon Haynes ahead of Matt Brunt, and those two will battle this one out. Wayne Walker has a 5.8 second lead. At Suzuka, it's all come up Wayne Walker with 3 rounds to go, 2 after this.
Yeah, that's exactly what Wayne would have been looking for here, but
Dan
Hall's now got a black flag, excuse me, so he's now gone backwards. Is that with Lord McKee? Jason Spriggs, excuse me. Oh. Well done to everyone around him avoiding that, because that was a dicey rejoin there, but luckily nobody else involved in that. But
the checkered flag is ready to wave for the race winner, Wayne Walker. He comes out of the Casio chicane. He started 3rd, but he got a supreme launch. He kept his car clean, and he has made his way to the lead of this race and to the win at Suzuka. His main rival, Jordan Ross, from pole, can only manage 2nd place. Justin McLean will come through to complete the podium. A good race from him.
very, very good race from Justin McLean there. As I mentioned earlier, 9.5 Sim Sports, he has been doing a great job throughout this season. Yeah, we're going to flash back to this battle pack here. Yes, the checkered flag is waving. These guys will be coming to collect it, but this is well and truly not over for Sharp, Haynes, Brunt, Burridge, Poynton, all still battling it out for who's going to have the last spot in the top 10. At the moment here, Sharp looks like he might just gather it up. Defending hard at the moment. They're going to go nearly 3 wide. They are 3 wide. Sharp gets spun around. Haynes is going to put flag 2. Oh, disaster there for Sharp, and he has just lost
I think he's out of fuel.
20 position.
He was holding the pack up. I think he was out of fuel, and then he had to coast into the corner. They got alongside him. They rubbed. They traded panels, and it all goes off here. Darren Lobb, 57 seconds behind the leader when he took the checkered flag. We'll see how much that costs him, but he's either waiting for the gap or he's out of fuel. But I thought I saw him saving fuel in the final lap, so this could be absolutely disastrous for Sharp. No engine. He either blew it or he ran out of fuel, and he's not safe there on the final lap either. Chaos at Suzuka, and we didn't even get the rain that was forecast.
Here we were thinking that rain would provide the chaos and the fun, but no. And Michael Stewart has been black flagged again across the line, so there's a lot of black flags to unpack here. There's a lot of penalties. This has just been a chaotic second half to the race, as you mentioned, David. Not because of the rain, but because of the competitiveness in this field and the likes of Greg Sharp. The Greg Sharp getting spun gave someone Haynes the black flag. It's just, oh man, you're gonna have to watch this replay 2 or 3 times to truly understand what has happened in this crazy 200 kilometers.
Now, with an 18-second drive-through time, we'll get to this, but if Darren Lobb had served the drive-through, he would have been 17th. Everyone's crossed the checkered flag. He has been shunted down to 25th, having crossed the line in 9th. You want to serve those black flags before you cross the line. Everyone has now, and it gives us iRacing's official results. This is, of course, pending post-race penalties, etc. from RaceKraft V8 Vets, which are usually championship points. But Wayne Walker, I don't think there's many question marks there. He was supreme at Suzuka. He extends his championship lead with 2 races to go and all drop rounds accounted for. Jordan Ross is going to need to pull out some miracles in the final 2 rounds to stop Wayne Walker, who has been so good this season. Justin McLean came from 5th on the grid to join them on the podium. Dean Logsdale, also not bad, from 9th to 4th. Ken Latta from 6th to 5th, but making just a little bit of contact with Jeff Thomas in the final stint of the race. Christian Smart, David Nash, Mark Poynton, and Andrew Rushworth completing our top 10 for a dry race with no safety cars. Look at that field spread, Brock.
Yeah, absolutely. We're used to seeing these guys a little bit tighter together. So we've got Scott Mackay in 11th, John Gallen in 12th, Matt Brunt 13th, Dean Flavel 14th, Ray Smith 15th, Dave Arney 16th, Ricky Hyde 17th, Troy Stonestreet, after starting 2nd and falling to the back of the pack, has come back in 18th, Wayne Sanderson 19th, and Brad Doble in 20th.
We had Jason Spriggs crossing the line in 21st, then Travis Hunt, Jamie McKnight, Lorne McKee. Darren Lobb has been sent from 57 seconds behind the leader to 1:32 behind the leader. That's basically 2 drive-through penalties. There's a few other drivers that have unfortunately crossed the line with black flags to their name that have also been quite thoroughly penalised. I believe Simon Haynes is one of them on the final lap there. And then Chris Burrows is 27th, Jim Caparonis 28th, Chad Lewis in 29th, Dan Hall, all the damage that he had, and then picking up the black flag, got 30th. The other 2 drivers that finished the race here, Michael Stewart and Greg Sharp, the lap down after I believe he ran out of fuel on the final lap. And Tim Mulford parked with 7 laps to go, so he didn't end the race, but quick top of my head math says he should be a classified finisher there. We're going to take a quick couple of replays here to bring us up to speed about all of the chaos that happened in the final few laps, and then we'll get to our podium, Brock.
So we've got Dan Hall and Jason Spriggs first up here. So this is Dan Hall has already got that damage, and Spriggs just gets into the rear of him, and Dan Hall has a bit of a tank slapper there and comes back across the track, and that's where Dan Hall got that black flag for too many incidents. So this is where Spriggs comes back out onto the track. Dan Hall tries to reverse, then gasses it up, and we're lucky to see, honestly, not a bigger accident happening there, but that explains it. Dan Hall going a bit slow with that lack of front downforce there, and Spriggs has just gotten into the back of him.
Looking at Greg Sharp, he's coasting, he's coughing, he's out of fuel here. That's why they get alongside him. They bomb either side. There really isn't 3 cars room. Simon Haynes robs the door. That gives him the black flag. Matt Brunt down the inside turns Greg Sharp. Simon Haynes not losing much on track here, going around the outside of Greg Sharp. He gets pushed deeper into the braking zone by Matt Brunt. That might have been where the incident points came from. Then an off track as he went wide. But he got pushed deep into the braking zone by Matt Brunt, as both of them checked up behind a Greg Sharp that was coughing, spluttering, out of fuel. Turned around, he couldn't even coast downhill to see the checkered flag.
Yeah, unfortunate there. It was looking like a great result for Greg Sharp there, and unfortunately for Simon Haynes, it's resulted in a black flag there, and Matt Brunt as well will have had to, no pun intended, cop the brunt of a slowdown right before the end of the race. So, yeah, crazy ending there, and some of our positions that we thought were going to be solid in that top 10 have changed in the blink of an eye, really.
Yeah, we knew we were going to get something spicy at Suzuka, but we thought it was going to come from the sky, not from the track. Let's find our podium to have a chat now. Justin McLean finished third and joins us now. Well, the top 5 kind of ran away from the rest of the pack. And how did you approach the strategy with question marks over the weather?
First of all, good job to Wayne and Jordan and Dino in 4th there. Bad luck to Stewie, but yeah, I wouldn't say I sort of had a strategy regarding the weather or not, mate. It was just deal with it if it came, and otherwise I just sort of went for an even strategy, look after tyres, save a bit of fuel, and yeah, it paid off.
Short fuel fill at the first stop, was that to get a bit of McClean air?
Yeah, definitely, mate. I was a bit worried about the some undercut from behind, so I thought I'll go in and throw a bit less in it, and then I just saved a bit in the middle stint when I was near Jordan, and yeah, it paid off, so it was a fun race.
We saw that passing was really difficult. There's not that many long straight line braking zones here at Suzuka, even though the average speeds and the tyre wear is high. So I think that getting yourself that track position kept you out of some of the battles, and then really helped.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I was pretty stoked to get a good quali this time out. I've sort of been not struggling, but not qualifying the best, and sort of been having to race forward a bit. And yeah, so it was nice to be out in front a little bit. And like I said, unfortunately for Stewie, got tangled up there at the start. It was nice to sort of just have clean air to run in and not have to worry about that. Just settle into a rhythm, get going, and yeah, I could sort of do what I needed to do, fuel and tyre wise then.
Well, congratulations on making up those positions, getting yourself that 3rd place and featuring well within our top 10 point standings with just 2 rounds to go.
Yeah, look, I'm stoked, mate. I'm just just trying to keep it consistent. That sort of proved beneficial for me at the end of the last season, so I've just tried to keep that going, just look after the tyres, and yeah, just that consistency pays off. I've had a few drop rounds, I think, that I missed races, but other than that, my worst result's sort of been a 12th, so it's, yeah, as long as you look after it the best you can, the good results will come.
Next week we're going to Miami. What are you looking forward to out of that new track?
I hate new tracks, so I wouldn't say I'm looking forward to anything out of that, but a couple of boys and I are going to have a dip at the 12-hour on the weekend. So once that's run and done, we'll jump into Miami and do some laps. I haven't done any yet, so the boys reckon it's a bit like Mexico, which I didn't love, but I went all right there. So hopefully it's some more of that.
Well, there'll be something unexpected, and we can all look forward to that, and look forward to seeing you there. Congrats on third, Justin.
Thanks very much, mate, and thanks to the Vets guys who run the league, and thanks to yourselves for a top quality broadcast. It's great. Really enjoy it. Cheers.
Justin McLean joining us there from third place, qualified fifth, and then pretty good strategy and kept it tidy to get to that third place. Battled a little bit with the man who finished in second. Jordan Ross is going to join Brock.
Jordan, mate, welcome back to the comms box. You're a frequent flyer here with us, second place tonight. Talk us through, you qualified on first. Talk us through that race start for us and how you approached with that rain looming on the horizon.
Hey, Brock. I just didn't think too much about it. I didn't actually think the rain would come. It didn't. But yeah, probably got a pretty poor start and just had to cover and then just sort of settled in a little bit. And Wayne had really good pace and took me a while to figure out how to drive. I made heaps of mistakes and got some slowdowns and stuff like that. But yeah, as the race sort of wore on after I got behind Justin and sort of figured out how to drive the track and a bit better from there. So I wish I had learnt that stuff before the start, mate.
So we theorised earlier, because we saw some technical issues hit you in motorsports. We theorised, were there any technical issues tonight, or was it just you were filling out the boundaries and trying to find how hard you could push the car here at Suzuka tonight?
Yeah, I think I ended up with 3 or 4 slowdowns, mate. I was just, I just hadn't done enough laps to figure it all out, and so I was sort of learning on the fly, and it bit me a little bit. So I have to tune that up for next week, and but yeah, no hardware issues or anything, just driving badly. But even still, Wayne was on another level tonight. He was unreal.
So, couple of rounds to go, mate. You're still well and truly in the championship fight. We've got Miami and then Gilles Villeneuve. How do you approach these to try and snatch away that championship from Wayne? What's the approach?
Oh, you just got to go out and try and win, and it's going to be a tough ask because Wayne doesn't make any mistakes, and his preparation is always perfect. I've actually got jet ski nationals in 2 weeks, so it's a big prep going into that. Maybe I'll be. We'll just have to see. But I might be putting a bit of time into that. But I'll try and put my best foot forward and just try and win the races. I think the next one's a street circuit, so if you can get in front on there at that track, it's going to be hard to pass. So that's the aim: just get in front and try and see what happens.
Excellent, Jordan. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, mate, and a great race as usual. Before we let you go, anyone you want to shout out?
Mate, just all you guys at SimSpeed turning up each week, putting on the show, and obviously all the organisers and John behind the scene, other competitors. Well done to Wayne and Justin tonight. Justin drove unreal to get 9.5 on the podium, so that was cool. Thanks guys. Hopefully I'll speak to you guys next week or maybe the week after. Cheers.
Beauty. Thanks, Jordan. Well done, mate. We'll chat to you next week. And David, bringing in our race winner, Wayne Walker.
Yeah, Wayne Walker, the race winner, joins us. Talk to us from the very first lap there. You qualified third, but then on your right-hand side, a lot of wheel spin for Troy Stone Street. You got a good getaway, and Jordan Ross had to cover you down in towards turn 1. That must have let you know that you were going to have a good race right from the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, after qualifying third, I knew I had to get a good start to get onto the back of Jordan and sort of stay with him. And yeah, I got an awesome start, and even I went to go up the inside and he blocked me, so I went outside, and I wasn't too worried when not to take the lead, because it was sort of able to let me save a little bit of fuel in that first stint. But then, yeah, about halfway through, he made a mistake into the last chicane and got a slowdown, and I was able to get to the lead. And then for the rest of that first stint, I sort of pulled away a little bit. And then we put similar fuel in, and that whole sort of middle stint, we sort of stayed very similar. And yeah, into the last one as well, it was just sort of try and hold the gap. It was slowly coming down, but there wasn't sort of enough laps for him to get to me. So yeah, that was awesome result to come back with a win tonight.
No rain, no safety cars, no lap traffic. How did you stay awake?
Yeah. I was I kept listening. Like the spotter kept telling me, rain's close, and I was sort of waiting for it, but it I think like the rain would have spiced things up a bit, but even without it, it's such a slippery track that you've got to be on top of it all the time, to not run off the track or not spin up too much coming out of corners. So it's still a hard track to stay consistent on.
How about incident points? We actually saw maybe 6 to 8 drivers get black flags from hitting the 17x incident point. Is that because the track limits are difficult here, or because they were all playing Dodgem cars?
Oh, I think that would have been more like incidents between each other, or like I said, you lose concentration, and because this track is so slippery, you miss your braking marker by even a meter, and you run off the track. So it was hard in that sense, but I that whole race I got 1 incident point, and that was my sort of mistake turning in too early into the chicane, and as soon as I got it, I'm like, damn it, there goes 3 points.
We got 2 races to go. You lead the championship. It's 2 street circuits in North America at Miami and Circuit Gilles Villeneuve Montreal. We've always said you go well at new circuits, so how much prep are you going to give to Miami Autodrome?
Oh, I'll do a few nights of practice. But yeah, I'm sort of looking forward to next week being a new circuit. Not many people have done a lot of laps around there, so I think that'll sort of even out the playing field as well. So, and hopefully I can continue the form I have on new tracks.
You've got some teammates from Accelerate Sim Racing here in Split 1. What help do you get from them? What help do you give to them? What's the advantage of being part of an organisation?
Oh, we sort of just talk about, the main thing is brake bias. That can make a massive difference in the way the car handles, and yeah, some weeks it's you have to go a lot further forward or a lot further back than what you sort of think. So we're sort of working together to find out what's the best, and the best sort of lines around the track as well.
Well, like we say, it's 2 rounds to go. We can't wait to see how you race and how it all plays out. Who would you like to thank after today's win?
Just all of everyone who helps run the league, race control, you guys for the broadcast. You do an amazing job with that every week. Jordan and Justin on the podiums, they both drove good tonight as well. All the other competitors, without them, it's not possible. My team, Accelerate Sim Racing, all the guys there, all their help through the week, and that, and our sponsors, Abbey Timber, Primal Wheels, Box and Lock Narang, and Modern Deck.
Well, congratulations, and I'll see you in a week at Miami.
Yep, thank you.
Whole podium joining us after a bit of a boxing match, or was it a sumo wrestle at Suzuka?
I think Sumo Wrestle is bang on. Those guys worked hard out there tonight, and all of it to come too. Wayne Walker leading our championship, but only by 11 points with 2 rounds to go here. Jordan Ross in second. Justin McLean third at the moment with a bit of clearance to fourth. So Justin has put in a really good effort there. We got Ladder in fourth, Stone Street fifth, Nash sixth, Logsdale in 7th, Mark Point 8th, Paul Young 9th, and Michael Stewart 10th. And the beauty of V8 Vets is that even with 2 rounds to go, this order could change up quite significantly. But realistically, David, the focus is Walker and Ross and where that battle for the championship is going to end up.
And last orders of business from Suzuka as we wrap up round 8 of 10 for RaceKraft V8 Veterans Championship and see how much is still at stake, is to decide the M1 used cars driver of the day. Brock, I'm going to go with you. I reckon John Gallen moved up a lot of spots throughout this race. When we saw that passing was difficult, when we saw the tussle through the midfield, and to be able to keep his nose clean, come from 32nd on the grid to 12th. There are other tracks where that wouldn't be as tough an ask as it was today. So John Gallen, M1 used cars driver of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, John's a guy we know has got pace. Obviously didn't qualify quite where he wanted to be tonight, but worked his way through. It was chaos out there. It was a sumo wrestle, as you said, David. It has been a nutty race, and to be plus 20, 12th position in his Pacific Esports Racing Camaro, absolutely well done to him as our M1 used cars driver of the day.
And of course, M1 Used Cars as sponsor are supporting the Balin Stewart Foundation this season. We'll see you in a week's time for the next round of this championship. The penultimate race will be at the Miami International Autodrome, a new track to iRacing, a street circuit. All of these things point towards being very positive for Wayne Walker, but we know what a great competitor Jordan Ross is. We know that no one can afford a DNF with the drop rounds already locked in. So everyone in the top 10 is a mathematical chance if Walker or Ross can't finish a race. Justin McLean is sniffing around in that 3rd position in the championship with just the 2 races to go. V8 Vets is supported by the title sponsor RaceKraft Simulations and by Logitech G, Novus Sim Sports, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Player One Sim Gear, LGC Images, M1 Used Cars and SimSpeed. This has been SimSpeed TV's live coverage of Split 1 of RaceKraft Simulations V8 Vets from Suzuka. I've been David Haynes with Brock Caday, Daniel Yeaman in the production to bring us the graphics, the replays, and everything needed to tell you this thrilling story of a championship fight with just 2 races to go.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.